Hello there, welcome back to episode 10 of my tutorial series for Songs of SYX version 66. Previous episode we have finally managed to get some booze into the city. There is not much flow in as of these days, but it is working out as intended, and we are finally at the point where I'm feeling like we can call this a day. We will slowly increase the workforce on that as we are slowly increasing the amount of pottery, but for me currently it is totally okay to have a certain amount of drink rations established, and we are going to crank that up whenever we feel ready for it. So today's topics will be finally water. I've been looking forward to water since a while. So, water will be the primary topic, and a little bit of a side topic that I also wanted to open up will be. A sec, we need all those people. Will be a new entertainment sort that we will unlock today. That is Bloodsport. We have no Bloodsport yet. What's wrong with us? So Bloodsport is a really, really cheap technology. It only requires 250 tech points. In the time between this and the previous episode, I also have invested a really high amount of researchers into the lab. So there will be also... What is happening here? Insufficient workers allocated? Interesting. Obviously, we can allocate more workers into the lab than it can host. Fascinating. Now, either way, Bloodsport. Research has been a little bit rebalanced, and therefore I'm here and there looking a little bit confused. Entertainment Fight Pit. The Fight Pit is now a building that we can scale differently. It does not really change anything besides its costs. There is therefore no reason, if you're feeling like it, to not put down the big one. But for a city of this size, the smaller one would be quite sufficient. The big one is, well, if you don't mind the room, just block it down. It doesn't matter too much. But if you have issues with room, this one is perfectly fine for a city of this size. You can always build another fight pit if you need to. Unlike the previous versions of Songs of SYX, the new fight pit does not require armor or weapons, so it is a lot cheaper to build. This building was in the past notoriously costly, and therefore I had always to import quite costly things here. So here I'm putting this at the front of the episode because it is really not much more besides researching it, building it, putting people in it to work, and then you get all the nice rewards for yet another service building providing happiness to your people. It requires 4 people. You can still execute prisoners in there, and you can upgrade it later with cut stone and weapons. Now that I see the prisoners, we're going to go over the law system somewhere in between, because, well, there is not that much more rather than to install a few things. Well, we're going to cover that when it's time. For today, I felt like water is a much more interesting topic. So, water. To work with water, you need the plumbing technology. We have that already done a long while ago, and it enables us to build water pumps and moats and canals and culverts and all manner of different things. We have also already unlocked the bathing technology, so we can now combine these together. But first, let us get some water pump going. So where is water pump? Where is the water pump to be found? Not in aquaculture, although I would have suggested to find it here. Oh well. The bathhouse, we're going to build one in a hot minute. I'm just going to search real quick. Ah, here, water. The water pump. Why are we not seeing the water? Well, I guess that this will be fixed in very soon. So, the freshwater overlay is showing you where you can sufficiently build the pumps. And as you can see, there needs to be a sufficient amount of water around before you can build it. So if we are too close, too far away from the waterfront, nothing can happen here. This is, to me, a pretty sharp nerf to where we were before, but at least it is, on the other hand, now pretty clear. If you can't build a pump, it's going to be on water, and if you can't build it, it's not going to be on water. That's a little bit easier than with V65. Okay, the pumps themselves cost stone, furniture, and workers. Pumping water from one place to another is a horribly stressful endeavor, and therefore it does require a ton of workers. That's why I have put it onto the later list of topics, but yeah. Meanwhile, by the way, the pasture that we've set up in the previous episode is going to crank out a wonderful extra amount of food for us. It is not the most efficient way of producing food, in all honesty. Using grain for that purpose is much more efficient, but it is one of the favorite foods of the humans, so we need to provide that also to keep up the happiness. Because if they only have bread, they're not going to be as happy as if they have bread and meat at the same time. Alright, the first of the pumps is finished. As you can see here, every pump requires 6 workers. It can be upgraded by dumping in some metal, and I highly recommend you to do so. Since we have quite some money available, we're going to go to our neighborsies and ask for some metal rail nicely. This is a very, very powerful way of resolving issues. I keep repeating myself, I'm well aware of that, but I just want to and need to dump that information every now and then back into this video series, as I find it invaluable to know that your neighbors, if you have established a trade connection with them, are just always there for you. Currently, by the way, I am going to give them some of my excess production values in addition to the money that I got. Here currently, well, we can easily give away some of that clay, as we are clearly overproducing that. We can easily give away some of the cotton, as we're currently not really processing all of the stuff that we are producing, and a little bit of the fabric. The rest I'm going to now toss in some denaries to round up the trade. It is just quite important that we are not giving away only our denaries, as emptying our treasury might have some nasty repercussions in terms of happiness because of riches. We are already suffering enough because we have no law anymore. Anyways, so these bad boys here can transport water for 64 tiles, or have they been buffed? I think they have been buffed. They have now 100 tiles of pressuring power. Wonderful. So as soon as the metal has been delivered, we are going to upgrade them. And the upgrade of these is just making them more worker efficient. That's one of the reasons why I recommend it so much. As for me, it does make a terribly high difference if we have 4 workers or 6 workers on every pump. You can reduce the number of workers by investing machinery, but boy oh boy, machinery is really costly. So I don't really want to do that right now. Just to give you an impression, every piece of machinery is like this. 1.4k. So 20 pieces of machinery, that would be 28 grand just to cut down the amount of workers on this pump a little bit more. I don't think this pays off. Okay, next step, we need that bathhouse. I'm going to make life a little bit easier for myself and build the bathhouse exactly into the trajectory of my water pumps. That has a good reason. You'll see that in a minute. We are going to go until then now to go for the obvious pillaring, and we are going to add in basins. These provide the services in the bathhouse, and they also cost a lot of money in terms of resources, I mean. So we're going to keep it like that. 10 baths is already a pretty nice number. We're now going to have to allocate cut stone and metal. Luckily, we have that metal already. We just need 70 pieces of cut stone now again. Cut stone is something that you can refine yourself. Whoopsie, that was not what I wanted to click. But, well, I personally do that mostly in environments where I have a lot of quarrying capacity available for myself. So we're emptying our wallet here a little bit. but I think we're going to be easily capable to do so. All right. So the pumps are not manned as of yet because I want to wait until this project here has been finished. The bathhouse is a very, very, very sophisticated piece of service. It is making people happy on many ends. First of all, you don't even need to do anything extra for the bathhouse. It's going to make people happy because people are going to work with well water, if nothing else. Then you can put in fuel into the bathhouses in form of charcoal, which results in warm water. If you then also add in a canal, which provides fresh sweet water, well, you hit the jackpot. So that's what we're going to do. We're now going to connect the canal with these blue blobs here. You see these? And now we're going to draw that canal over to our pasture and alongside of that pasture. I want to show you in a second what that does. Alright. Let's check back with our city stability. Looking gorgeous. We have everything we need. Currently, we have a wildly increasing income of meat, as the Entelodon pasture is only at 50% capacity at this point. It'll be there later with a much higher capacity. Until then, we have to wait until this building here is being finished. And as you can see here, just buying the resources for these buildings can be a massive power move, as procuring cut stone and metal in these amounts by self-sufficient production, oof, let's just call it like that. It's really tough to pull that off. You can do, but as a matter of fact, I wouldn't recommend at all. All right, so here we go. The bathhouse is requiring a couple of people employing there, and since the bathhouse is so close to the fresh water here, it does not need a direct connection, but you can run a canal alongside of the bathhouse to provide fresh water. This is now a wellspring of happiness in your city, and I really don't over-exaggerate on that end. The problem is it does cost you coal, and as you see here, we are only ever so slightly overproducing here at this point, but oh well. Let's drop in the workers into this pump here too. It does take a while for them to get working here, and now we're getting... Why are we only getting 12 tiles pressurized? Well, it's not exactly working out as I expected it to. So, yeah, it just took a little bit of time. All right. So, what we got here now is a canal that entrenches the Entelodon pasture. Two things I want to show you. First off, here, the fertility does go up alongside of the canal. You have a display for actual fertility and fertility base. So this is the unmodified value for the fertility, and this is what the canal does to the fertility. So this way you can make very, very bad spots very fertile, or you can upgrade your fertile spots already. As you can see here, our grain farm only has a fertility of 70%. So that's what we came for. You can therefore span a nice little canal system around this. It does cost you quite a lot of stone and workforce, but it is really, really powerful. And what it also does is adding in sweet water access to your pastures adds in the freshwater bonus. As you can see here, the productivity now goes up to 25%, if I remember correctly. There was no change to this number. 25% is the increase in productivity for a pasture by being connected to a canal. That is powerful. That also brings you to the point that eventually you will try to plan your layout for pastures and fields according to your water canals, as there is a very, very massive synergy between pastures and fields. Here now, we can now, let's see if we can increase the fertility of this plot. We started out with 70%. You can even go as far as entrench the field entirely, as we do it here. So 79% and 70% are our starting numbers. I'm really happy that the pumps got buffed. The previous version 65 had only 64 tiles of pressure per pump, and I can only say we needed a lot more pumps back in the day. Well, so as you can see here now, the fertility is rising with every piece of canal that is providing water to the environment there. But we can also see that the pump is not killing it anymore. We need more pumps. And this is where we have to face the brutal truth about water working. You quickly end up with an entire army of pump workers to just increase the fertility of your fields. So I really recommend you to keep over-exaggerative builds like I do them here a little bit on the down low, as these are really costly workforce-wise, unless you have a couple of hands to work like that. The pasture here now is exactly at 1.25, and it would be at this point, for example, be a smart move to just move that canal over to this place as well. Why not? We're going to have a lot of profit out of that, and as you can, I'm pretty sure you can quickly see how much of a addictive thing this can be. So now, alongside of these canals, we can now build new bathhouses that have all the benefits that this one has. And just to showcase you what is just happening, this is just the beginning. These guys only have 25% of their needs fulfilled for bathing. Bathing is insanely powerful. And we're best off setting up another bathhouse in another quarter of the city as soon as we can as well, because it's just like that. Powerful. And we could and should use it wherever we can. So our city is now thriving on that end. And since we got more than enough time left, let's talk about law. Because let's see, is there anything about water that I need to fulfill here? So you can artificially set up ponds and pools, but these also need to be filled with water manually. The difference between moats and pools is that they either emit awe or dread. So, well, I haven't talked about awe yet, neither did I talk about dread. It's a very simple concept. Dread is keeping your subjects from revolting against you if they are unhappy, and awe is just another happiness increaser, just like harmony, lighting, the need for benches, the need for roads. Awe is just one of these, and you can find it in the environment menu, and you can see it's a pretty big metric, but it is a ton of work, as you will need to fill every single square of that pool with a pump worker. So nothing comes for free here. We are going to get ourselves another little delivery of metal, as I personally see that we can't really live without. So you see me here paying a lot with denarii, even though I said a moment ago that I shouldn't do that, but I'm doing this for the sake of speeding up the tutorial a little bit. So, time at home. Do it a little bit more efficiently, huh? So, we got this now, and as you can see, it is still not quite getting there. This is because I have totally overdone it, but I just want to showcase that we have here now managed to increase the fertility for the cotton fields and for the grain fields at the same time quite substantially. So you really get something out of that. And even though this pasture here is not fully encircled now with fresh water, let's see. Pass forward a little bit. So as you can see, it still is enough for an 18% increase of productivity. So we're really safe to go for another pump. And just make sure that this little arrow thingy is always pointing towards the next canal. I still pled for having the arrow thingy colored somehow differently. I wish that was possible. Either way. By the way, leading the canals over roads like I did here, as you can see, they're just building little stepping stones and there will be no issue whatsoever. Water is differently important depending on the map you're playing on. That is very, very simply put together here. The more unfertile soil your map has, the more importance the aquaculture of your city is. The more importance aquaculture plays in your city, and well, on a map like this, in all honesty, we could have as much skipped it. It's more like a gimmick because this map is so darn fertile. It does make a big. It does play a big role though for the pastures. I'd strongly recommend to give all the pastures water whenever you can. So that's all. I don't have much more to add. Let's move on over to the law. We have here now the stockade to place down apprehended criminals. We have a guard post which will put up guards, and we have the dungeon where people can get punished. We have the scaffold. So this is a pretty big system that we're going to set up bit by bit. First of all, the stockade is the baseline prison facility. It is really cheap and has been installed because in the previous versions you had always to invest into quite costly materials to get a baseline of law fulfillment going. But here now it's basically a wooden fort where you round up your criminals. So we're going to start out with that. A place where you can store your criminals at. It's always important to get started with that before you set up any guards, because nothing is more worthless than than guards without any jail. Believe me, I've been there often enough. We're going to get there. Yeah, well, why not next to the graveyard to give people a good example here. And there is much more to be done here about that as far as I know. Except for you maybe want to, again, optimize the size to have an exact number of guards. I'm right now here a little bit too lazy, but you could do better than that. Personally, I don't mind these exact number roundings at some point anymore, because I find it way too finicky to keep it that exact. Anyways, we are going to give a crate going for armor, and I'd say we're going to do this down here at the clothing department because we don't have that much clothing, and armor, well, they go well together, I'd say. Our law enforcement is worthless without guard posts. Guard posts are quite a costly bunch. They will take up cut stone and leather, so these will actively run around and try to prevent crime. And at this thing, if you can afford it, the big ones are the most efficient ones. So law still has that mechanic where the more law you put on one spot, the more efficient law becomes. I mean, it's not exactly a wrong sentiment. All right, so here we have now at least some place where we can bring people that have been imprisoned, and we now have, of course, to fulfill the needs there. I hope I can afford it. So yeah, if you happen to notice that the costs are just way too heavy for your city to stem, oh god, yeah, just like I do here, it is completely okay to just delete the room and go a little bit smaller than that. It really strongly will depend on your local economy, how costly these things are after all. So let's... some cities are much better at providing cut stone and armor than others, and you really will notice the difference there. So let's do this like that. And we're going to offer 10,000 bucks like that. And throw in a few more resources into the bowl. We are overproducing on many ends, and therefore it's not a big deal for us to just toss in a few things. I also do see that we have a overproduction on many goods there. So yeah, it's a problem that I always run into with the tutorial series, that paying attention to so many things at once, my cities are often quite horribly optimized because, yeah, obvious reasons. Okay, so government is at an all-time low because law is absolutely lawless. We have here you can see what kind of criminal acts are happening, and your people are succeedingly getting unhappier and unhappier the more acts of criminality are happening without being punished. So we're going to go and install some stocks, as stocks are really cheap and easily placeable punishment methods. They don't require much work, they don't require much time, but they do the trick just fine. So yeah, our city clearly requires more guard posts than this one, but for the sake of demonstration, I just want to get it down here, you see. My tutorial cities always end up being a nightmare, and this one will be no exception from that. We're also going to set up some scaffolds, as this is going to be where we will do our celebrationary execution. So you have gallows for executing people. Make it large enough to facilitate one entire executioner. You also have chopping blocks, so you can mix and match to your own liking here. We're going to make it so that we have 2 executioners working, and then decorations to instill fear to the people that are coming here. I don't know what the hell is going on here. I guess that's medieval times for you. This thing costs a bit of furniture, but at this point, these investments are really not much of a big deal for us anymore. After all these installments, you'll have to wait a couple of weeks, months, years for the law enforcement to kick into gear. If it doesn't go up directly, you'll just need to either wait because you're impatient, or you need to install more guard posts because the crime is happening elsewhere. Both things are very, very likely to happen. Our city is ever growing. As you can see, we're now hosting already more than 300 people. But, well, thanks for the fruit. We don't have that much of a problem in sustaining our growth like that. Here goes. So with the scaffolds, we now have pretty much everything that we need to do. We can now go and, if we have somebody imprisoned for a certain crime, we can now decide where people should be sent. You can click the prisoner, and for example, we're going to send this poor soul to be executed. This is something that you can use. Many species love the fact to see, or love to see, an execution every now and then. If you don't do that manually, you will only sentence him to prison, and then they'll be free again. Sometimes they even do the same crimes again. So the more law fulfillment we got, the better. You always have a percentile distribution what kind of punishments will be done. We also need a proper dungeon for the imprisonment sentence, because currently the stockade is just for storing the criminals. It's not punishing them. We can't punish these people. We need then, if we don't want to execute them, a proper dungeon to fulfill the prison sentence. So there it goes. Don't make your prisons too large. Usually, I've made the experience you're well off with just 2 cells to begin with, or you can even start out with 1. Tell you what, we're going to start out with 1 here, as it won't be costing too much metal there. And let's re-import some metal. It is perfectly fine to go for a small prison, because you only need... Oh, that was... whoopsie, that went wrong. Because you only will need it to fulfill the punishment, and after that punishment has been fulfilled, your prison cell will be empty again. Since the stockade has a capacity for 23 people, Well, you can just store them there until there is a new prison cell available. So don't overdo your jail sizes. That's all I'm trying to say. And just like that, you have it pretty much done. If you build a slaver, you can also sentence your criminals to slavery. But keep in mind that your people won't usually like that if you're starting to enslave your own people. I'm going to do a little bit more of a slavery tutorial at some point later down the road. I think I do. And for the time being, building a slaver building allows you to sentence your prisoners into slavery. That's what it does. But you do already see that it has a positive impact on our economy. So I'll be finishing this guide post between the episodes, and I'm saying goodbye for today. This is pretty much all you need to need to know for the basics of law. I hope I wasn't too fast on that topic, but it is really just building stockades, punishing places, guard posts, and with these sliders you can decide how the punishments are going to be distributed among the different factions. And yeah, let me know in the comment section if you feel like I missed a vital spot or you have any bigger questions. Thanks for watching, you all. See you all on the next episode. Leave me a thumbs up, consider subscribing, check out the description box, and as usual, big thanks to all the supporters of Icon Gaming, and a big thanks to you for watching this video up until the very end. See you next time. Bye bye.